Hello and welcome to Chapter 9. We are going to be learning about something called inheritance. Um, and basically, it's related to what we did last chapter on classes and objects. And so, kind of the idea is when you set up your classes, you can make them into these little hierarchies as a way to share the code. Okay, so basically, they draw it out like this with these little boxes. So basically, you could have like a bank account, right, which has like money in it, so you could deposit it, have an account holder's name or whatever, and then you could have a special type of bank account with some extra features that say like track the interest or something like that. Okay, so the one up here is called the super class or parent class. All right, so it's the more generic one, and then this is a specific type of bank account. So this is called a subclass or a child class. Okay, and so what happens is much like you like inherit potentially like your height and your eye color and your hair color from your parents, these subclasses inherit everything in the superclass. So all the variables and all the methods that are in this parent class, all of them come down to the child class. So last year they told me this is kind of stupid. They said the arrow should be drawn this way because all the stuff flows down, right? So I don't know why Java usually draws them this way and the AP test draws them this way, which I think is dumb. But technically, all the stuff flows down. So that if I in bank account, if I make a uh, well, normally we make it private, but I'm going to do public int amount. Maybe it'd be a double because it's money, so double amount. So that'd be like the amount in bank account. If I make it up here and make it public, it automatically flows down. So that interest account will also have its own amount. Okay, and same thing with like a method. Like if I made a method up here that was public double get amount, that just returned that amount, the child class would automatically have that method too. Okay, and so kind of the cool part about this is interest account can also add its own features. So it'll inherit everything from the parent, but it can add new features. So maybe with interest account, we have a method that pays interest. So we could do public double pay interest or something. So it pays out interest. So that's like an extra feature. So now interest account has all of these methods and data and its own specialized methods. All right, so that's kind of the idea is everything from the parent class flows down to the subclass. And think about it with your parents too. Again, in theory, you're going to inherit a bunch of traits from your parents, but maybe you have some of your own special traits too, right? So it's kind of the same idea. Okay, so what they're going to draw here is, they're going to draw these hierarchies. And so up top, we've got the most generic vehicle, and then all of these are special types of vehicles, right? And then car itself, you can build like layers and layers of hierarchy. So cars, you could break down into even more categories of like SUV and sedan. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video here and ask you some questions. So my first one would be actually two questions. How many superclasses do you see in this hierarchy? And how many subclasses do you see? Pause the video, give it a shot. Okay, so superclasses, vehicle would be a superclass of all three of these, and then car would be a superclass of these two. Okay, so technically I would see two superclasses here. Okay, and subclasses, all three of these are subclass of vehicle, and these two are a subclass of car, so you would see five. Technically speaking, this isn't on the hierarchy, but in Java, there's a class on top of everything called object. And so I'm going to do a lesson later called object is a superclass of everything. It's a very generic thing called object. And so technically vehicle is a type of object. So technically vehicle is also a subclass. So 5 or 6 here, I guess depending on how you look at it. Technically everything is a subclass except object that has no parent class. It is like the king of everything. It sits at the very top of all the hierarchies. Okay. And so let's see. So again, the idea of this would be, whoops, that is not what I wanted to do. I'm going to delete this stuff quick. Is you could put, so like if I was thinking about, if I wanted to make a variable called num wheels, like where would I want to put it? All right, and so basically the idea is all of these things, including a vehicle, usually has number of wheels. Okay, so I could do something like int num wheels. Okay, I could make the variable up here and then also the methods for it. So like I could do public int get wheels or get num wheels. Okay, so that all of these things beneath here will automatically have access to that. And again, the nice part is the method is in one spot. So if we ever need to change the method for some reason, we don't have to change it in all of these classes. We change it just in the parent class and it automatically flows down. All right. Let's maybe do another one. So let's see if I can find them. So MPG, maybe miles per gallon. Um, I would probably put that. Well, I don't know. You pause and think, where would you put miles per gallon? Okay, and you'd probably want to put it up here again because everything has an MPG. All these things have a miles per gallon. So I think I would put it up here along with all its methods and then it would automatically flow down. Okay, and then any specialized stuff you could put down here. So I honestly have a hard time thinking of specialized things here, but let's see. So like we could do like a Boolean of has a sidecar, has sidecar. So I don't know if you've ever seen a motorcycle with a sidecar, but I think that would only really apply probably to motorcycles. So you could put it over here. Okay, maybe for a truck, you could have like an int, like a maybe a double that is a payload, like how much they can carry, right? And so you might put that just in truck, and maybe you put it in SUV too. I don't know, but yeah, you would put it here. Trying to think of a good one for car. Oh, maybe a good one here for car would be can. So like if we do Boolean can have car seat, even though I think most cars now have them, but way back in the day, some cars might not have been able to use car seats. So basically, you could put that in car, and then that would flow down to sedan and SUV, right? So that's kind of how you set up the hierarchy. Anything that can be shared, you want to put up in the superclass, and then if it's specific to the subclass, you can put it down there. All right, so just to try to make some more sense of inheritance here, if you had two classes, manager and employee, at like a business or a restaurant, which do you think should be the superclass and which should be the subclass? Pause the video and figure it out. Okay, so employee should be the parent class or the superclass, and then manager is a specific type of employee. Okay, so when we draw out the hierarchy, right, we draw it this way, where this is the general one, employee, and then you have a specific type of employee toward manager, right? You might also have like sales clerk or something, right? And that's another type of employee. Okay, so you could have a bunch of possible subclasses for employee. Maybe you only have one, but you could have multiple ones. All right, so how about the relationship between bank account, checking account, and savings account? Well, if you had to guess, what do you think that would look like? Okay, so bank account would be up top, that'd be the most generic, and then checking account and savings account would be two specific classes that are types of bank accounts. So we would draw it out this way with bank account up top and then savings account and checking account, specific types of bank accounts. Okay, so here's another one we're going to do later in the chapter where we're going to make like a quiz program. And so we're going to have different types of questions like multiple choice questions, a numeric one where they enter the answer, a free response question, and a fill in the blank question. Okay, and all of these are specific types of questions. Okay, so my question here for you is if we made a quiz class that was made up of a bunch of questions, where would it fit in this, right? Should quiz inherit from question or where would it fit in this? So pause the video and see if you can make sense of that question. All right, so this is pretty tricky, but quiz I would put off on its own, right? It is not a type of question, right? It's not a specific type of question, and it wouldn't make sense as a parent question because question's not a type of quiz or anything like that. So it is actually off on its own. And much like we had before, I would call this more like a runner class. So this quiz is going to be made up of a bunch of questions, maybe even like an array list of questions or something, but it itself is not part of the hierarchy. All right, it's going to use question objects, but it's not a specific type of question. All right, or question is not a specific type of quiz either, so it should be off on its own. And this will be, we'll make these in this lesson. You'll see much throughout this chapter, I'll make runner classes again. And so our quiz would sort of be like our runner class with the main and everything over here. All right, final thing I want to cover in this first part of the lesson is when you make an object in this hierarchy, like the normal way we would do here would be like question Q equals new question, right? That's how you normally make it. But, or like, let's see, I could do choice question equals new choice question, or however the constructor is set up. Okay, so when you make objects, that's kind of the normal way. And in 95% of my life or more, I've done it this way. But there's a special rule about in Java that on this side you can have the parent class, and on this side can be a subclass. So you can do like question Q2 equals new numeric question. Okay, and we sort of get away with this because this numeric question is a specific type of question. So you can do it like this. You can do parent class and then equals new child class. Okay, so you can set it up that way, right? You just can't do it the other way. You can't have the child here and then the parent on the other side. So why you would ever want to do that, we'll talk about that later, but for now, just know that they do sort of ask questions like I got on this next screen. They'll ask this on the AP test where they'll give you like a hierarchy of parent and children classes. And so it'll say like, are these valid ways to create objects? And again, you can have the rule, I'll copy it from the last one, is you can have the parent class on the left, and then you can create an object that is a subclass of that, or a child class. Okay, so which ones of these are valid? So like yes or no for all of these. Pause the video and give it a shot. Okay, so car and then new sedan, this one's okay because sedan is a specific type of car. So you have a parent class and then a subclass. That's okay. Car equals new vehicle. That is not okay because that's the backwards way, right? So basically we need the parent class here. So vehicle would need to be on the left. So motorcycle equals new truck. That's not okay for sure. That they're not at all connected. I mean, they're kind of part of the same hierarchy. They're both vehicles, but a truck is not a specific type of motorcycle. And the last one is okay. SUV is a specific type of vehicle, right? Even though it's kind of way down the hierarchy, it does inherit all the way down here. So you could do vehicle V equals new SUV. That's okay. This is a parent, that's a child. All right, so that's our introduction to inheritance, and let's keep going from there. Thanks for watching.